Hispanic woman in a garden nursery, she obviously works there, by user care Bear Ninja Hair. I'm the Hispanic woman in the story. To set the stage, I was shopping for an Earth Day event for my office at a local farmer's market nursery in downtown Dallas. It's kind of an upscale nursery and frequented by tourists and influencers. I have olive complexion, long black hair and brown eyes. I'm dressed in a silk blouse, jeans, and red-bottomed heels, having just come from a sales meeting, and wheeling around a cart full of pots, succulents, mulch and planting soil. Incident 1. A young Caucasian woman walks up to me and asks me, in broken Spanish, "¿Dónde pagar?" No biggie, at first. I point to the register area where there are 3 registers with 2 employees working 2 registers in a line of about 2 deep each. She thanks me, again in Spanish, and I think the conversation is over and turn my attention back to the agave plants and she says, "Hablar English?" Oh. Yes, English is my first language. She looks surprised and I think she's probably embarrassed, but then she asks me if it can ring her up. I wish I would have actually said the words, but I was polite and told her, "No ma'am, I don't work here." She did look embarrassed and apologized. Incident 2. I set my cart down in an area out of the way since the aisles are pretty narrow and there are potted plant displays, statues, and lawn ornaments I don't want to risk knocking over. I park the cart and walk about 10 feet away to inspect some large urns. I select a couple and as I'm walking back to my cart, a middle-aged blonde woman is unloading my cart. "Excuse me, ma'am, that's my stuff." I call out to her. She looks at me and continues to unload as I approach her. She simply says, "I need this cart." I pick up my succulents from the floor and put them back in the cart and I tell her, "This one is mine, go ask an employee for help finding one." She looks angry but walks off. I just roll my eyes and think that's the end of that. I would find it all so comical if it wasn't so sad. Then, she comes back with a very confused looking manager and tells him that I'm not allowing her to use the cart. He asks if I'm done with it and I tell him no. He offers to find the woman another one, but she starts in with, "This place needs to prioritize its customers' needs over its employees." He accidentally lets out a snort and says, "She doesn't work here, she's shopping same as you." She did not appreciate being laughed at and made a scene threatening to report his behavior to the owners. He introduces himself and it turns out he is actually one of the owners. She threatens to take her business elsewhere and he lets her know that there is a Home Depot about 5 miles away. The look on her face was priceless. Incident 3, final. I'm talking to the owner about the succulents and how best to arrange when, twice, and without apology, people interrupted us asking for help. Each time the owner tells them, "I'm with a customer but so and so can help you," and each time they look supposed or taken aback. I've lived in this area for over 4 decades and have worked in this area for over 2 decades. It's always this way. Karen breaks into tears when in front of cops, judge, by user deleted. This is my first post here, so I apologize if I get formatting and stuff wrong. This also happened around 10 years ago, so I may miss some important details. Sorry. Characters: Mom, Dad, me, and Karen plus some minor characters like cop, judge, employee. Important background: my mom is paralyzed from the waist down, so my dad and I would take her out grocery shopping every now and then. She had a motorized wheelchair, but it was too bulky to take with us to the store, so we brought her non-motorized, push, wheelchair with us. Dad would push her around, while I would pull stuff off the shelves she wanted us to get and put them in our cart. One other note: Dad has a voice that he's used in the past to scare people. Just ask old potential boyfriends of mine. While doing this, Karen began yelling, "Hey miss," then whistling, then the dreaded throat clear. I put the last item in the cart and turned and said, "Can I help you?" when she thrust a list at me and demanded, "Get me the stuff on my list." I should note that I look nothing like the employees, they wear blue from head to toe basically, and I was wearing a yellow sundress with daisies on it. I said, "No, I'm helping my mother now, I think there's an employee at the front desk who can help you." She didn't like this and reached out to grab my arm, saying something like, "You will help me now. Sorry, no threats of I will get you fired." I shoved her away, shouted no, when I felt the blood running down my arm where her nails had broken my skin on my bicep. Dad looked over and kinda freaked when he saw the blood and shouted, "Leave my daughter alone." Mom was looking at something on her list, but my dad's voice was loud enough to get an employee to rush over. He asked if there was a problem, and my dad said, "This woman just assaulted my daughter, do you have a first aid kit or something to help her out?" I'm going to call the cops while you get this. Upon hearing the word cops, the lady just sunk to the floor crying and trying to say it was just a misunderstanding. When the cops arrived, I had been bandaged up and the manager had come up, and upon listening to my and my dad's story, as well as the employee describing the aftermath, they went to the back with the manager to check the video. Meanwhile, the lady is crying, saying I'll lose my kids. No sorry or anything like that. The cops arrested her for assault on a minor and took her away crying. At the trial later, the two things I most remember is that she was on probation and did indeed lose custody of her kids. I think the father got them, and she tried to say it was an honest mistake. I thought she was an employee. Whereupon the judge said, even if she was an employee, what gives you the right to grab someone like this, while showing her the pictures that were taken of my bloody arm. She broke into more tears as the judge read her sentence, including the loss of her children due to violating her probation, plus some community service, I think. Much later, as part of her effort to get her children back, she had to write me a letter of apology which is still in my parents' attic in a box. Is this a boy? Does it have testicles? By user AzureWay22. I finally have a story. It's insane to me, how idiotic people in my county can be. I live in southern Alabama, right next to the Gulf. You will find the most entitled, idiotic people here. People who you wonder how they made it all these years without knowing simple facts of life. But I digress. On with the story. I'm in a pet store looking at their aquatics. It was all right, but I noticed they had some amazing plants, and I wanted to know when the Betta's water had last been changed because 2 were dead. So I hovered and waited for the clerk to be ready. What had been holding them up was a woman who came in to just go insane over the skinny pig. A skinny pig, by the way, is a guinea pig without hair. Disgusting act of hubris on man's part. I find their breeding abominable. She held him up for a solid 15 minutes, asking stupid questions and video calling who I can only imagine was her daughter. Finally, he's ready, and goes to help a woman check out, and I hang around by the Bettas. The woman walks up to me. Now, mind you, the uniform is black. I am wearing a chiffon printed shirt from Hot Topic with a bunch of insects on it, with bright blue makeup on. I am 100% not an employee. She walks up to me, shows a normal looking pig on her phone, and goes. Is this a boy? Does it have testicles? I answer without hesitation. Rodents have rather large balls. There is no reason you cannot take a gander at what's beneath and figure out if they are male or female. The rodent has no sense of pride, and does not care if you look at its genitals. She stared at me for a solid 10 seconds. Before replying, very indignant. Well, how should I know? I don't work here, hon. After I replied, she was flustered, and left. I just ignored her. I seriously have no patience for people, and I am extremely rude compared to the normal hospitality of the South. I'm from Minnesota, where people are polite by curt. Here, it's just seen as rude. Zookeepers are not grocery clerks, by user Aurora4847. For background, I work for a zoo that's owned by the city and is part of the Parks and Recreation Department. We pick up produce from a local supermarket every day, which involves a zookeeper going into the back of the produce section and leaving with a cart of boxes. We never wear anything that looks like the uniform of the store. Our uniform is gray, and theirs is green, but people assume since we go into a staff-only area. Last time I was there, a woman stopped me next to a sale display, asking if the store had any more Fritos. I apologized, and told her I worked for the city. She responds, "Oh, I'm sorry. Do you know about the low-income housing in the area?" To which I mentioned that I work for the parks. We both had a good laugh. She cracked a joke about how we don't provide housing in the parks, and I pointed her to an employee to help her find her chips. Certainly not the most exciting story here, but we both had a good chuckle about it. Entitled Lady at Zoo, by user Aniapani. Hey guys, this is my first post and I can barely remember details, so please forgive that. Also, I posted this yesterday on r/entitled people. So at the time I was a 13y/OF just doing this zookeeper course at a zoo. We were just making stuff enrichment for animals, food, toys, and also cleaning out enclosures. While we were in the wallaby enclosure, I was busy working hard when a woman probably mid-30s came up to me and kept shouting in my ear. Forgot to mention that I'm autistic and any loud noise gets me stressed, which gives me a panic attack if that loud noise doesn't go away. I stop cleaning and look behind me to see this woman and just ask her what's wrong. I'll try remember the conversation. I think it went like, Hello, can you please stop shouting at me? No. Tell me where the _______ enclosure is or I'll tell your boss. I didn't even have a boss. There were just two really nice zookeepers looking after the other kids in the course, who were busy tending to some kid that didn't have a clue what to do. I think it's over there? I haven't been here for ages. I didn't even know they had a _____ enclosure. I point over to a path leading out of view since I really just wanted to get rid of her and she was bringing attention to me which I really hated. I've been over there. It's not there. You should know, you're wearing your work uniform. I was wearing a high sixes, plus a light green shirt with a badge of the zoo on it, but it was nothing like the zookeeper uniform. At this point I was too stressed to deal with her, so I walk over to a zookeeper and ask if she can help this woman, who now is still causing a ruckus near the poor wallabies, and so she's escorted out of the zoo I think. I didn't hear from her again, but it gives me shivers thinking she could literally come harass me again. I'm going back to that zoo on Sunday though, so I will update if I see any more entitled women, smiley face.